Revelation chapter 8 marks a pivotal point in the book of Revelation where the seventh seal is opened, leading to a series of dramatic events. Here's a summary. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. Revelation chapter 8 is a critical chapter within the book of Revelation, as it bridges the events of the seventh seal with the unfolding trumpet judgments. This chapter is a dramatic and symbolic portrayal of divine judgment upon the earth, as seen in the visions of John the Apostle. The events described are apocalyptic in nature, full of imagery that has captivated theologians, scholars, and believers for centuries. The opening of the seventh seal, Revelation chapter 8 verses 1 to 5, verse 1. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. The chapter begins with the opening of the seventh and final seal by the Lamb, who is identified earlier in Revelation as Jesus Christ. The breaking of this seal is a significant moment, one that leads to a profound silence in heaven lasting for about half an hour. This silence is unusual, especially considering the continuous worship and praise that typically occur in the heavenly realm. Theologically, this silence is often interpreted as a moment of awe, reverence, or even dread, as the heavenly hosts anticipate the severity of the judgments that are about to be unleashed. It could be seen as a pause, a solemn interlude, allowing the magnitude of what is to come to sink in. Some scholars suggest that this silence represents the calm before the storm, a brief, tense pause before the full force of God's wrath is revealed. Verse 2. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and 7 trumpets were given to them. Following the silence, John sees 7 angels standing before God. These angels are given 7 trumpets, which will later be sounded to announce successive judgments upon the earth. The number 7 is significant in biblical literature, symbolizing completeness or perfection. The 7 trumpets, therefore, represent a complete and divinely ordained series of judgments. The imagery of trumpets is rich in biblical tradition. In the Old Testament, trumpets were used for various purposes, including calling people to worship, signaling the start of festivals, and alerting people to impending war or danger. In the context of Revelation, these trumpets serve as harbingers of judgment, each one unleashing a new and terrible event upon the world. Verses 3 to 4, And another angel came and stood at the altar with a golden censer. And he was given much incense to offer with the prayers of all the saints on the golden altar before the throne, and the smoke of the incense, with the prayers of the saints, rose before God from the hand of the angel. Before the trumpets are sounded, another angel appears, standing at the altar with a golden censer. This censer is filled with incense, symbolizing the prayers of the saints, those who are faithful to God. The image of incense rising before God is deeply rooted in the Old Testament, particularly in the practices of the tabernacle and temple worship, where incense represented the prayers and intercessions of the people ascending to God. This moment highlights the importance of the prayers of the saints in the unfolding of God's plan. The prayers of believers are seen as a powerful and integral part of the divine narrative, and they ascend to God like a pleasing aroma. This imagery conveys the idea that the prayers of the faithful are not forgotten. They are heard and considered in the heavenly courts, playing a role in the execution of God's justice. Verse 5. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it on the earth, and there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. After offering the incense, the angel takes the censer, now filled with fire from the altar, and hurls it down to the earth. This act symbolizes the beginning of the judgments, as the fire represents God's wrath and justice being cast upon the earth. The resulting peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake are all typical biblical signs of divine judgment and presence. These natural phenomena often accompany significant theophanies, appearances of God, in the Bible, underscoring the severity and seriousness of the moment. The first 4 trumpets, Revelation chapter 8 verses 6 to 12, verse 6. Now the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared to blow them. With the stage set, the 7 angels prepare to blow their trumpets. Each trumpet blast signals the beginning of a specific judgment, affecting different aspects of the natural world. These judgments grow increasingly severe, demonstrating the escalating nature of divine wrath as humanity remains unrepentant. Verse 7. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire, mixed with blood. And these were thrown upon the earth. And a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. The first trumpet unleashes a catastrophic event where hail and fire, mixed with blood, are thrown upon the earth. This judgment results in the burning of a third of the earth, including a third of the trees and all green grass. The imagery here is reminiscent of the plagues of Egypt, particularly the seventh plague where hail and fire rain down from the sky, Exodus chapter 9 verses 23 to 24. The addition of blood in this judgment emphasizes its deadly and violent nature. The destruction of a third of the Earth's vegetation represents a significant blow to the planet's ecosystem and the resources upon which humanity depends. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of life in the Earth when subjected to divine judgment. The specificity of a third indicates that while the judgment is severe, it is still partial, leaving room for repentance before more judgments follow. Verses 8 to 9. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. And a third of the sea became blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. The second trumpet brings another devastating event. Something like a great burning mountain is thrown into the sea. This causes a third of the sea to turn to blood, killing a third of the sea creatures and destroying a third of the ships. The imagery of a burning mountain suggests a massive, catastrophic event, possibly a volcanic eruption or a large meteorite striking the ocean. The transformation of the sea into blood echoes the first plague in Egypt, Exodus chapter 7 verses 20 to 21, where the Nile River was turned into blood, killing the fish and making the water undrinkable. In Revelation, this judgment again signifies death and destruction on a large scale, affecting both marine life and human commerce, as represented by the destruction of ships. The sea, often seen as a source of life and sustenance, becomes a symbol of death and divine wrath. Verses 10 to 11. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many people died from the water, because it had been made bitter. The third trumpet brings a celestial event. A great star falls from heaven, burning like a torch. This star is named wormwood, and its impact turns a third of the rivers and springs of water bitter, leading to the death of many people who drink the water. The term wormwood refers to a bitter plant known for its toxic properties, symbolizing the poisonous nature of the water after the star's fall. This judgment targets freshwater sources, essential for human survival. The bitterness of the water represents the corruption and pollution of what was once pure and life-giving. The death of many from drinking the poisoned water underscores the severity of this judgment, highlighting the vulnerability of humanity in the face of divine wrath. Verse 12. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light might be darkened. And a third of the day might be kept from shining, and likewise a third of the night. The fourth trumpet affects the celestial bodies. A third of the sun, moon, and stars are struck, resulting in a partial darkening of the day and night. This judgment creates a world where light, a symbol of life and order, is diminished. The reduction of light could also symbolize a decrease in spiritual illumination, as darkness in the Bible often represents evil, ignorance, or the absence of God's presence. This darkening of the celestial bodies is reminiscent of the ninth plague in Egypt, where a thick darkness covered the land for 3 days, Exodus chapter 10 verses 21 to 23. In Revelation, the darkening of the heavens serves as a prelude to even greater woes to come, signaling a world increasingly enveloped in chaos and despair. The eagle's woe, Revelation chapter 8 verse 13. Then I looked, and I heard an eagle crying with a loud voice as it flew directly overhead, "Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth!" at the blasts of the other trumpets that the 3 angels are about to blow. The chapter concludes with a dramatic and foreboding announcement. An eagle, or some translations say an angel, flies through the sky, crying out, "Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth." The triple repetition of woe emphasizes the seriousness and intensity of the judgments that are yet to come. The eagle's message serves as a warning that the worst is not yet over. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.